This is Michael Danielson from Danielson Home Company, and today I am going to be starting a project where outside in my wonderful home in Minnesota it is cold, snowy, and awful, and I'm running out of stuff to do. So there is a foundation on a piece of property I have in Wisconsin, and it needs to have a cabin on it. So what we're going to be taking you through is building all of the walls and as much as we possibly can here, and then transporting it to Wisconsin and see how quickly we can build a 14 by 18 shed, which will be at some point a sauna slash boathouse. But for now, it will just be a place to stay while we're enjoying the lake. So we got our pile of wood over here, and we're going to turn that into some beautiful walls, hopefully. And I just have to get my motivation, get my heart right, and start pounding some nails. We'll see how it goes. Welcome to the cabin. We're looking at the front of it. So we have two walls framed up and very heavy, very difficult to lift, and I was unable to lift them. I had to get some help. But we have the front and the back wall. So oddly enough, you'll see there are two doors here. Eventually that door will lead to the sauna, and then this door will be the boathouse storage area. That back wall, I'll tell you what, pretty easy to frame that. Not a problem at all. Yeah, we just did 2x8 headers, and we're gonna get working on the two side walls there. We have all of our siding painted and ready to rock. We're gonna get that on here and just keep on building a house in a house. So I'm having a lot of fun listening to good music, and just a very good, it's been a nice sense of peace. All right. I definitely thought that a 2x4 wall with sheathing would be a lot easier to lift than a 2x6 wall with sheathing. I was wrong, but I did get this one up. Back is still intact, so that's a good sign. So we are inside the structure now, and just got this side wall put in, lifted up. So what we have here is the walls kind of coming together with the second top plate going, just kind of weaving in there. I will end up obviously getting these tighter and fastening them together. So on the outside, the sheathing is run along here. So should tie together nicely. We're just going to tack those corners until we get the rest of the structure up. But next to this wall, I'm going to push against my racking and lift that up, tie that one into there. So then this one's not going to fall over, because that was hard enough to lift once. Only need to do it one more time. I think, well, at least a wall. I have some beams here. These 14-inch 20-foot long LVLs will have to go in place. Might employ the skid steer perhaps for that. We'll see. Anyways, it's making progress. Just wonderful. Zoink. All the walls are up. We got a little bit of a bigger window there, so then in theory, if I remember the orientation of the foundation, should be a nice view of the water with these windows. But I got the corners nice and tight and tacked in a few screws just to hold them, and got them level using the laser, mounted up there. So then I have the stick and I put that on the corners, and then picked my highest corner over there and then just shimmed up to get everything nice and level. That was about 1.5 inches over there, but it is sloping down towards the floor drain. But now we have and then I squared it as well. Took a tape measure across there, and then the other diagonal, and made sure it was relatively square. Now I'm going to start figuring out the rafters and doing some bird's mouth there. I'm going to do a 12-12 pitch. So I'm starting, use my square to get that angle, which I think is just a 45. I mean, it has to be, right? Yeah, it's a 45. And then those two big beams are going to go across the middle. The header over that window in the middle seems like, is that going to be big enough to, because there's going to be a point load right in the middle, but it's extremely hard. I think Southern Yellow Pine, double 2x8. So hopefully it works for this application. Charlie brought the trailer back, so now I have all of the tools and I can just go nuts. So hopefully math works out for these rafters and we will start putting them up. Well, it is day 2 of building the cabin, and I already did this monologue one time, but I just took a picture of myself. So that was cool. Anyways, so after lunch, I snuck in and built 2 columns that will hold this. It'll be a double LVL that's 14 inches wide, 18'8" long. I'm gonna put them in one at a time because it's just me here, and then I'll secure them together at that point. But yeah, it'll be a little tricky getting them out there. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be a momentous occasion when it happens. I don't think it's gonna be quite as bad as I thought. So I got my 24-foot plank. I can just rest that end on there after kind of shimmying it up from down there. Anyways, that end obviously can sit on there. And then I just gotta make sure this doesn't slide off, because if it drops about 15 feet to the ground, it's a very unpleasant sound, and usually something breaks in that scenario, in my experience at least. So I'm just gonna kind of shimmy over there and strap that side up, or flop that side, lift that side up, I think is probably the term, and maybe secure it to the buck on this side, or the king stud that you see protruding up a little higher. Action shot. All right, so the beam there has been all plumbed and is sitting pretty much perfect, the way it will when it's on site. And I made my first rafter that goes off the back side last night. This one has a tail, and that fit perfectly, fortunately. And then this is the template for the front side. This one does not have a tail because it is ending at the front here, and we'll sheet the ends of those tails, which is going to be pretty narrow. And then there's going to be another roof that comes off of that towards us for a little porch. So yeah, now I'm just using the templates and marking out the other rafters so I can have everything exact. Okay. So I'm beginning to realize why people don't just build buildings off-site and then transport them. All right, obviously there's people that do that, but it does require a lot of thinking, just a lot of head scratching happening. So at this point, obviously I have it sheeted, and at my first 2 little shed roof rafters coming off, I'm going to put a 2x8 together and then set it up in that notch with a couple of braces on each end to the floor. So then I can get this shed roof all done. But it's tricky with having the roof needs to move independently of that gable end. So what I ended up doing is I connected my framing, as you can see there, tied into the sheathing there, is connected to the first 2x8 on the face. So then I can side that and just basically finish the exterior. But then I sistered up another 2x8 to that one, which is where the sheathing on the roof is connected to. And so then it should kind of keep it as its own panel, essentially. So waste a little extra wood. There's definitely you probably should have a balance between spending a day on something in here versus a couple of hours on something on site. But I'm just trying to challenge myself a little bit and see, I'm not taking that into consideration, basically. So anyways, yeah, I'm gonna put some more rafters on here. It's gonna take shape. All right, well, we have that much done. And I like the look of it, the shape of it, how it's coming along. The challenge I'm facing right now is trying to get the like each part of the building to come apart and be transportable. But how big of a chunk, do I do of these pieces? So then, like in this corner, for example, this triangle piece gable is one piece. That'll come off easy. But then I need to side, with this triangle piece. There's going to be a board going along the bottom here, and that'll get sided. Another triangle piece. Do I have that connected to that triangle piece? Do I have that independent? If it's independent, how do I side it? Maybe I have to side it later, but I don't want to do that. So that is the thing I'm mulling over right now in my mind. Here, I'm just leaving these ones out. These rafters can go in on site because it just gets too wide to transport. These ones are shorter because there's, again, no heel going, no overhang on the roof. So I felt comfortable sheeting that. So we'll be insulating this, potentially putting a few lights in here. I might put the lights in the top of the wall too, just to minimize, fishing a wire through that on site and then hitting a light box. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, it's got a good feel. There's going to be another, like a loft area in here going to about the edge of this door. Which is another thing, is like I might cut the length of the material, but I don't think I'm going to actually build that here unless I feel some inspiration. So yeah, I think this morning it's going to be putting these little triangle chunks on and seeing if there's a way to connect that to the gable somehow. I mean, it seems a little unlikely. And then how to do the siding with that. All right, there has been a decent amount of head scratching going on, but I think this is going to be what I'm going to do. Whether it be right or not, I'm not sure. So you can see three different sections. Well, there's four. So you have the house, will be one piece. You'll have the gable, that'll be one piece. You'll have the lean-to, that whole thing there will be one piece. And then this little other connection to the gable end will be one piece as well. You can see the intersection of the boards there. Well, this is as far as I'm making it for the week. It's all Tyvek, blocketed, as they say. And I think I'm pretty much as far as I want to go as far as framing goes on the exterior. I've marked it out for siding, and we'll maybe chalk some lines next week and get going on that and install windows. And then in here, it's a little mezzanine loft area. All right, I have my cameraman today, Zach, who's been doing a lot of work on this since he got back this week. So we have it sided now. We're making progress. The corners, we'll wait for that until it's on site. Things that we're doing on the inside is we have ourselves a mezzanine loft area, I guess would be called. That would be what it is called. So that is up there. I'll hop up there in a second, but we wired it yesterday under the watchful eye of my electrician. So we have some outlets going on, and we've positioned the wires, if you can see this. So each panel of the building can be disassembled, and then this will be tucked away in the insulation once we rebuild it. This will get taken apart, run through, and tied into this junction box. And then these home runs will get tied into this conduit to the main. As long as I didn't forget anything. I know that I already forgot to take out some screws that were in the rafter tails. So you see I tacked in the screws over here as well, but I didn't take them out before the loft area was installed, so we'll have to cut those off. We'll be all right. So this area up here, very comfortable. All right, so we're in the loft area. Again, these rafters will be put on site, just because the length gets a little bit unmanageable. There'll probably be a couple of like little twin beds over here with a railing or wall with a window, something going on this side. But you'll notice we have ropes. Hopefully it doesn't stretch too much. Hopefully it's a strong enough rope. That is going to be how I lift it up with the skid steer or forklift and transport it and set it. Once it's in place, I'm just going to cut it off because I won't have access to get the little knotted part of it out from the insulation. So we'll do that here. You can see we have another rope over there. This part, you'll see later, is going to be lifted and put down in a different way. But otherwise, we're going to use rope and hope it's strong enough. We're banking on it. Anywho, that's what we got so far. Until next time. We have come to the point, we got to get a microphone at some point so we don't have the echoes. But anyways, here we are. We have the cabin as much done as I'm going to get it until we bring it out to the site. We will now begin the disassembly process, but I figured why not take a look at it. We need to remove one strip of the siding there, and that's just tacked in, I hope. Is it tacked in? Is that good? Mm-hmm. And that will allow us to disassemble the gable from the wall. And then that little triangle there and the overhang is coming out. But we have our doors installed. I decided, what the heck, why not put some doors in here? Eventual sauna. That's why we have two doors anyway. I think I maybe am reiterating that from previous times. We left part of the bottom plate of the wall intact, so it has some strength there. Yeah, on the inside, we got the windows, I guess, done. They're trimmed out, and we're just gonna have the OSB finish. It's gonna be okay. We have wires, I think, where they need to be, so we can take it apart and then put it back together. Again, we'll use some 2x4s to space out the trim so it's not getting all marred up, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. You gotta look at that window. I decided maybe a little privacy would be nice while it's being used as a shed, as a cabin. So then my children can be up there sleeping, and my wife and I could be here hanging out, doing whatever. Eventually we might go with a little shower in here just to see how fancy we can get. Might do a little kitchenette area in here. It's getting less and less rough as we go. Zach made a beautiful, what is that called? A
trapdoor.
That's a trap door for the upstairs. It's a nice little space here. It's gonna feel a lot smaller once the roof is actually on. Because that would be, again, getting built on site. We have a rope in here, which I think was in here before, but hopefully it's strong enough to be able to grab it with the forklift and move it around easily enough. So, we got the R30 insulation in there. In the ceiling, we have our R13 in the walls, and hopefully everything goes well as we're putting it back together. But until then, perhaps we're signing off. Well, here's Zach. He's fixing my mistake. Very specific design in the old, wanted some forklift pockets in that 12-12 portion so I could simply lift it off. And the maximum width that my forks will go are 35 inches on the insides. About 41 inches is what I have on that. So that's just a little oversight that Zach is paying the price for. If you notice, Zach's curvature in his back right now is almost superhuman-like. We're working on that. Zach, show America what you're capable of. I don't need to see your butt. Turn perpendicular to me and show us some good form.
Good form?
Good form, bend over. Yeah, there we go. So that's what he can do. It's amazing, the arch you had going on there, but I think it's gonna be great TV. All right, so thanks for fixing that for me. Well, it did not go perfect, and it is unknown whether or not the forklift plus a telehandler will be able to lift it. So there's a lot of question marks involved yet, but it's pretty well stacked, I would say. We have a lot of pylons going on here. We're going to be screwing a lot of stuff together as well to make it a nice, safe package as it travels. But yeah, I would say it took a lot longer than I thought, and would have been probably easier to build it on site, but I wouldn't have known. So now we know, and hopefully we can make it to the lake place. Well, I've slept on it, and I'm feeling more optimistic than yesterday. I was a little negative towards the end of the day because it took an entire day to get this stacked up. There's a lot more wood here than I anticipated, but now I'm feeling positive. This is going to be great. It's very well secured, other than having no straps on it and not being on a trailer. But I think it is going to be certainly taking longer than if we did it on site, but my wife and children will be happy. So there. Until next time. What did you do, Charlie? I added some fuel to the flames and started working over there, and had a little bit of a whoopsie daisies.